It's been 6 weeks since I started lifting weights. Here are my top 3 takeaways as a 22-year-old entrepreneur and full-time music producer. So first things first is stress management. Basically, as somebody who wants to perform at a high level, who wants to achieve big things, I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform. And that's something I'm working on, but I also thrive under pressure. Like I tend to work really well when I'm under pressure. And that I think is just, part of my upbringing. Essentially, the reason that lifting has so much meaning to me is because when you're able to train under positive stress, it helps you deal with negative stress better. And a lot of my day can be stressful. So in order for me to actually deal with that negative stress on a more of a productive level rather than get buried under it, I choose to put myself under positive stress and actually build myself under that. And that's what I consider lifting weights to me. And I've even seen it too, because I have an Oura ring and I have the data to show me that, as you probably know if you watch this channel at all, I'm extremely data driven. And I track the data and I see myself generally feeling more relaxed, throughout the day compared to the way I felt in the fall of last year. So that's stress management, really. The next thing is momentum. So I always say this to myself, and that is an object in motion stays in motion, right? That inertia of starting something new starting back up is way more challenging than just continuing to do what you're already doing. Right. And this is, part of habit building. This is anything. This is you getting up from a chair. That's still inertia. And so I think for me, this is like kind of my nerd brain is going off. This is like super basic physics, but also momentum can be the greatest force. I think of it as like gravity, but for entrepreneurs, right? Or for, peak performers. It's, it's something that you can control. And it's also something that you can take advantage of if you use it right. And the thing about momentum that I find so interesting is you don't need to do a crazy, going back to the concept of lifting weights, you don't have to do a crazy you don't have to do a crazy workout every single day. It's actually about doing little things every single day so it compounds over time. And we could talk about, compounding effects or compounding interest, but it's really momentum is the overall force that you get because you did the same thing yesterday. You can do it. You have the confidence. You remember exactly how it felt. And if you continue to do those things, then you will continue to have momentum. And I think momentum is the greatest force that you can really harness. And it's something that's in your control. I think as somebody who cares a lot about control and tries to do as much that's in their control and not focus on what's out of their control, I choose to double down on anything that's in my control. That's why I care so much about content. Content is in my control. I can change my life in a snap. So why would I not? So same thing with momentum. If I can continue to harness this force, why would I not? And it's not even about the streak, how long you can do it. It's just about not stopping for multiple days in a row. You can skip a day, intentionally. That's the crazy part. Yesterday, it was Sunday. It's family day today. That's like a holiday here. And we went to the movies, hung out, got dinner. I came home. It was probably 10 or so. And I just journaled and went to sleep, basically, knowing that I didn't get my steps in yesterday. I didn't track my food. I didn't do the things that I normally do on a normal day. Yet I'm still moving with momentum today because I prioritized rest intentionally, knowing that I'm going to skip a day and go back to it tomorrow. So you also have to give yourself grace. Momentum isn't necessarily the streak of how many days in a row can you do something. It's being intentional with stopping. And so I think that's something that is so interesting. It's in our control. We can harness it. Why do we not do this more? I could make a whole video just about momentum, and maybe I should. Especially because it's something I'm still working on, right? I've seen it happen to me. So why would I not continue to do it? And it's something even right now, I feel like I have momentum. And my last one really is probably the most important and also ties into all of them. And that is self-trust, especially as an entrepreneur. But even if you're leading a team or you have any type of leadership in your life, whether that's family or a different area, you are making decisions all day long. Personally, I make decisions all day long. And it's even the decision to, am I going to make content right now? Am I going to go to the gym? Am I going to do my outreach, these kinds of things. Those are all decisions. They're smaller decisions, but they're still decisions. And so I need to be able to trust myself, which means I need to be confident in who I am. And I need to actually do what I'm saying I'm going to do, which is how I'm going to be confident. And so in order to trust myself, I need to have, so just to tie that all together, in order to trust myself, I need to have confidence, which means I need to do what I say I'm going to do. And this is something that I've struggled with a ton, especially after I burned out in 2024. I had a really hard time doing, and I kept overpromising and under-delivering, which is like the worst thing you can do. You might as well just not promise what, then and not do it, right? In that case. And so this is something that I've struggled with before, and I'm making a conscious effort to improve. And I've even noticed it like with my family saying certain things like, oh yeah, you do get up at this time. This is normal for you. Or, you do go to the gym. That's normal for you. 6 weeks into this sort of journey, or 7 weeks in, it's sort of like becoming part of my identity for other people around me too. They no longer see me as someone who slacks off and doesn't do the things they say they're going to do. So it takes time for that to happen externally, but first you have to do it internally. And that's why this self-trust is so important, because like I said, tying back to this whole thing of being an entrepreneur and having a busy life, but also wanting to perform at a high level, nobody is going to trust you if you don't trust yourself. That's just like how anything works. So why would you not want to build self-trust as much as you can? I know personally, I trust myself way more now than I did, 2 years ago. It's funny because I have these conversations with my mentor who I used to just blindly follow, when I was 19, 20. Now I generally trust my gut. Yeah, I want to ask him, I genuinely trust my gut. Yeah, I might ask him for feedback or, appreciate his opinion, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to follow blindly everything he says like I once did. This whole video honestly could even be tied up just in the concept of consistency. Getting these little wins in the day is so important for consistency, because in order to sustain a high effort, all of that comes from mental stability. So for me, what I've found is that lifting weights means I have more mental stability in the forms of momentum, in the forms of stress management, in the form of self-trust, which then provides me that consistency that I've ultimately been looking for. That's just to sum up this video. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And please share this with somebody else if you found it valuable.